what is this three-stage filtration? So the first two filters are sediment filters, followed by a carbon filter. So in sediment filters, you have the first filter, which is 5 microns, and the other one would be 1 micron. Or it could be a 10 micron and then 5 micron. Depends on what your supplier is giving. And then the last filter is usually a carbon filter. So first, what does a sediment filter do? Sediment filter, as the name suggests, removes sediments. So anything that tends to float in the water that makes the water turn brownish, a bit yellowish, you could use a sediment filter for that. And then to improve the taste and the smell of the water, you usually use a carbon filter. Okay? In the market, people use it as a cheap alternative to proper big filters that they might need. And I think that's what I want to discuss, right? So in some areas, I've also seen 4-stage filtration. So they might have another filter, or you could even have a 5-stage filtration. So they might put a softener cartridge, and here they might put another, like I said, they might put a 10 micron sediment filter. And usually what I hear is, if the water is more brown, then you put more filters. If the water is less brown, then you put less filters. That's the mentality behind this. Now, where can it be used best? My take on this is it's best used as a post-treatment. Now, why would I say something like that? Because if your water is too brown, okay, when you look at it, it's very brown, this would actually not be efficient anymore. So what does that mean? That means you might be changing filters, say every 2 days, or maybe every week, or maybe every day. Depends on how dirty the water is, right? And that kind of makes the system inefficient in itself. If you use this as the only system in your house, it would become inefficient, right? So what I would suggest that you do is you get a bigger FRP tank, okay, that has a mix of, it's called a multimedia filter. So it has a mixture of pebbles, and then it has sand, it might have carbon, and then it might have anthracite. So that would make a better system. First, if the water is too brown, and then you pass it through a 3-stage filtration, because it does 2 things. First, it will filter out bigger particles. So let's say you have 100 micron particles, it will filter out better in the bigger system, and then use the smaller system or the smaller filters to filter out the smaller particles, or use it as a polishing step instead. This way you won't be changing your filters every few days. One thing I would avoid you from using this filter is, say if you have a big water problem, something like the water is too smelly, or it has really bad odor, or if the water is quite yellow or rusty colored already, that renders these filters totally useless. And for me, softener cartridge is not always good because it needs salt for backwashing. So if you don't have salt for backwashing, regardless of what the seller says, it's not gonna last you for more than maybe 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. It's not gonna last you more than that. Okay? So the only place I would not use this is if the water has really high bad odor, if the water is too yellow or too many suspended solids. Okay, so we call it TSS, so it's too many total suspended solids. And if you want to, if the water is salty, you can't use this. Okay, you should not use this. It's useless. You'll just be wasting money. So that's about it. This is a smaller version of all the big filters that you could buy. I'm sure, sometimes budget is a problem, budget is tight, but that doesn't mean you just go about buying the wrong stuff. You might want to save a bit of money to buy the right thing. And again, remember that this system works best as a post-treatment. Don't use it as a main filtration system because it might not work. So if your water is clear and you just want some sort of filtration, perfect. Again, not as a main filtration, okay? It's okay because the water is clear, and then you'll still notice that after a few months, the filters are actually brown. That means even if your water is clear, it still has sediments inside. If you have any other questions, do let us know. I'll see you in the next video.